What's good, everybody? Zex here. So, one of the greatest experiences I've ever had in my gaming career is definitely from Ark Survival Evolved. And it's not even from my own personal experiences playing, but watching a group of these three friends who actually got into the game. And if you've played before, you know that official PvP Ark servers can be very political, filled with so many different emotions, so many different experiences, and just watching these three and their story growing from when the game first came out and learning how to play and going through everything. It was like watching a movie, and it was really a pleasure to watch. And I want to share that with you. So these next few segments, it's going to be a few videos long, but is going to be, I guess we'll say, story time. So their gamer tags were, there was Duke Nukem. Obviously he loved the Duke Nukem games. There was Topside. She is the one that convinced them to, the other two, to give this game a try with her when the game first came out. And then there was Railroad. He loved the faction Railroad from Fallout 4, obviously. But they named their characters in the Ark game Nuke, Topside, and Rail. And when they first hopped in the game, it was like anyone else's experience. They had no tutorial, so they're running around, trying to figure things out, eating everything they can to find out what's safe. Then the amusing part of eating narco berries and finding out that they'll knock you unconscious. Well, when they got into the game, then the arguing already started. Now, Rail is heavy into PvP games. He loves the PvP aspect to games, whereas Nuke, he preferred the PvE aspect to him. And Rail wanted to, he immediately said, let's go inland more on the island and let's build and level up there. The other two just flat out denied that. Like, no, we're new, we don't have the gear, we don't have the creatures. Let's stick to the outer rim of the island, let's stick to the beach for now and level up and get some better gear. So they build on the southwestern part of the map, which, as you know if you've played the island, it's the easy zone. Well, they progress through, level up a little bit, and they each build a raft. Now at this point, they don't know that you can tribe up, so they're building their own rafts and sticking together. Well, the PvP part of Rail has him pillboxing his rafts, and before logging off, he sails it way out into the water because the whale does not exist in this game yet. So it was safe. Doesn't render into people's view when they're on the island itself because it's too far out. And the other two, Nuke and Topside, they built not the pillbox, but the flat with all the ceilings attached to the boat, giving it more of an area to build on top of. But they kept their bases closer to land because they had a few weaker creatures like dodos and I think they were the dilos. And of course they log in the next day and their two boats are the ones that are hit. Their dinos are still alive, but they lost all their stuff. Another player came in, cleaned them out. Of course, Rail gets a little snarky with it. Maybe you guys should listen to me more next. Well, they decide to move on. Once again, Rail wants to go inland, but the other two insist, or Nuke specifically insists that they're not ready. So they decide to stick to the beach, but they do move north. They stick to the west side of the map, and they get about halfway where the land kind of separates from the mainland and gets surrounded by water. And Topside says, this is a good spot, because if other players come, they're only hitting us from maybe 1 to 2 sides. Well, They designate a big chunk of time, the three of them, to building nothing but walls and planting X-Seed turrets, which of course they had an absolute joy when they had to go to the swamp to pluck those seeds. But once they get the walls up and they get going, they have a few more creatures and they're getting a good move on it. Well, Rael uses this time to say again, we should raid some people. The best way to get gear rather than grind it ourselves is to take it from other players. Let them do the heavy lifting and let us benefit from it. Nuke does not want that. He flat out says again, if we stir up too many problems with people, they're all going to come after us. It's best to lay low. Well, after Nuke and Topside get offline, Rael uses the opportunity to go on an independent raid. And sure enough, he successfully does it. It was a thatch base, cleans them out, kills all the dinos that they had, brings it all back to base. And for the next few days of playing, he doesn't mention to them that that's what's going on, that that's what he's doing. Every time the other two get off, he would go out and find someone to raid. And this goes on for a little while. Well, one day, Nuke and Topside are wondering why Rael has all this extra stuff and all these blueprints when they never see him go out and get it. And on that same day, they get a knock at the door. And sure enough, there are a bunch of people on Rexes and different creatures, and they're now attacking the walls. Topside wants to grab the best gear and stuff they have and make a run for it. Rael says, no, we need to, we got some gear. Let's shoot the riders off their tames. It'll even the odds a little bit in the fight. Nuke wants to talk diplomatically. Well, as he starts typing in chat and trying to get things to calm down peacefully and find out what's wrong, Rael uses the opportunity to start taking shots off at the people on top of some of the Rexes. Diplomacy has absolutely failed at this point. Abso-fucking-lutely. And the other players proceed to one by one tear down the walls, one by one kill their creatures, and one by one killing all three of the players. They wiped the base down to scrap. When everything was all said and done, Nuke reached out to the players again and found out it was because Rael kept bullying and attacking the newer players on the server. And they eventually went to the other tribes and asked for help. So, the three of them start fresh all over again. And Topside says, hey, I just found out we can tribe up. It'll make things easier. So sure enough, that's what they do. Nuke says, we're going to call ourselves the Kingdom. And from now on, though, we do not raid another tribe unless the three of us all agree to it. Well, Rael is not exactly thrilled about this, but he has to accept it. And he does. And then they continue to try to rebuild and find a new location. But there was one problem that they had. Now for here, I'm going to stop here. And tomorrow, I'll release the next part of what did happen. Now they still play Ark. Just not as often. But these are real people that really did enjoy the game. It was a pleasure to actually watch them go through everything they did, so I look forward to telling you more about the experiences. And as usual, get good.